So I asked you, the Sheep Esports community, who had the best offseason in the LEC. I put out a little straw poll where everyone had the opportunity, put it out on like YouTube and Twitter, where everyone had the opportunity to rank all the LEC teams from 1 to 10, who had the best offseason, who had the worst offseason, and everything in between. My favorite part about these videos, obviously, is getting to see what you guys think about, hopefully trying to create these communications, these discussions, and also you guys can't flame me because you guys are the one making the results in this video. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But first, I just want to mention that Holy actually has their Black Week going on right now until December 2nd. That means big discounts, and that also means limited edition flavors, merchandise, and packs. So definitely go check that out with the first link in the description below. Also, right now, they still have the Holy by Sheep Esports giveaway going on as well. So if you guys use those discount codes SE5 to get €5 off your first purchase, or SE10 to get 10% off your entire basket, you can also get entered into those giveaways as well. So right now is the perfect time to go buy some Holy great tasting energy drinks that are healthier than the competition. First link in the description below. With that being said, let's get right into this. I want to start the list at number 10. You guys, the worst offseason in the LEC, you guys have voted. And honestly, I agree. I don't really think you could go too wrong with this one. We have Rogue. Now, Rogue has not done anything this offseason. Obviously, Rogue has been a team that is attempting to like sell their LEC slot or get out of the LEC or whatever. So they're not going to like sign a bunch of players if they're just about to leave. They're not going to spend the money or whatever, make their spot like less desirable or more desirable, or whatever, for another team. We have heard that Rogue is kind of still going through an offseason. It's not like they're not doing anything. They also have a guy in place where like he's going to be the GM probably whenever they do sell the slot, so it's going to be the same guy operating. If Rogue does have to stay in here and isn't able to get this done, they maybe have some players ready to go. I don't know, it's this whole weird thing, but obviously Rogue can't officially make any deals or get anything done, and obviously players don't want to take a chance on waiting on Rogue to know if they're going to get a deal done or whatever. So Rogue has missed out on a ton of this LEC offseason. Right now, they have one player on their roster. They haven't signed players anywhere else, and they've pretty much missed out on the entire LEC and ERL offseason. Every player that's really you would want on your team, for the most part, has a spot. There's obviously a couple of decent players still left out there. Maybe you can get some imports. Maybe you can get some Tier 2 players, whatever, but even the best Tier 2 players have signed a team. So Rogue's in a very weird spot. They haven't done anything this offseason, and that's why you guys put them at the bottom, and that's why I agree. At number 9, we have Team Vitality. Now, I also agree that this was not necessarily the most exciting offseason or that interesting. I don't think it was necessarily bad, but this team, they lost Photon and Vitio, and they're replacing them with Neko and Chayek. Both these names I hate to pronounce because they're really hard, and everyone always flames me for it, but whatever. Two kind of prospects coming up from the ERLs. Obviously, they're not exactly, at least from what I understand, the most exciting prospects ever. They seem like they're good, strong players. They should be solid. They're not expected to come into the LEC and like pop off or anything like that. Obviously, I wish them the best. I hope they do, whatever. But this team doesn't really look that interesting or that exciting. They didn't really get that much better on paper or anything. Photon was like a solid player. VTO, former MVP, replacing them with 2 ERL players, whatever. They're just kind of rebuilding. They're building for the future. Fans aren't excited about this offseason. That's why you have them at 9. I don't think it was a particularly bad offseason, but I couldn't say it's good. Maybe 9's a little too low, but I also get why people have them at 9 because there's just not really that much to debate or argue about. They didn't really do much, whatever. Now, next up at number 8, we have SK Gaming. Now, honestly, I might rather put SK below Vitality, but I think it's close. I think there's arguments to be made for sure. SK, the changes they made was GiantX coming in for Irrelevant. We have Reeker coming in for Niski, and then we have Loopy coming in for Luan. So Loopy, I do think, is a big pickup. I think Loopy should be a pretty solid player for SK, especially with his pre-existing synergies with Rahel as well. I think that makes a very, very nice bot lane. Now, Reeker coming in for Loopy, I do think, or Reeker coming in for Niski, sorry about that. Reeker coming in for Niski, obviously I think is a downgrade. Reeker's a guy who I do think has deserved another chance in the LEC. He's a guy who we saw in the LEC before for a short stint, and I think he deserved more time, and I think he deserved another opportunity. So Reeker's not a player that I'm like down on. He was very, very strong in the ERLs every time he's been down there. He deserves a spot in the LEC. Most likely, he's going to get a chance to prove himself. But still, I think he's a pretty big downgrade from Niski, and I don't expect him to like come in and be better than Niski, especially right off the bat. And then also, GenX coming into the top lane for Irrelevant, that might be one of the biggest downgrades of the entire offseason. So, I don't know. I don't really understand how you guys could rate this offseason better than Team Vitality's. I know Team Vitality didn't do anything interesting, but did they really get that much worse? No, they're like not a great team. They're probably still not a great team. I do think that SK probably got a decent amount worse this offseason. So I would probably have them at number 9, but you guys have them at 8. Hey, whatever, it's okay. Number 7, we have Team Heretics, as voted on by you guys. They lost Wonder, Yankos, Zyru, and Trimby, so a big offseason here, and they brought in Carlson, Shio, Kamilu, and Stend. Now, Carlson and Stend, I don't really have strong opinions about. Obviously, their players coming up, we'll have to see how they do. These things can be very, very volatile. I don't know. It seems like people are pretty excited about Stend. I don't really see as much excitement for Carlson, but we'll see. Like I said, wish them luck. Hopefully they come in and be good. But two really big and the most interesting and exciting pickups that I have, and I think you guys might have Team Heretics a little bit too low here, is Shio, him coming in for Yankos. I think that's a big pickup for Heretics. I think obviously Shio is a pretty strong player. He has opportunity to be pretty good. I think that's a pickup that I'm excited about. I think obviously you lost Yankos, but at this point Yankos' career, whatever, they're trying to build for the future a little bit more and change things up, because obviously 2024 did not go the way they wanted. So whatever. I think Shio's a good pickup. I think Kamilu in the mid lane, to me, is one of the most interesting pickups of the entire offseason. I don't know if Kamilu's going to end up being good, but he is a very, very hyped up prospect, a guy who's skipping over the tier 2s entirely, going from tier 3 to tier 1. Very, very young and experienced guy with a ton of talent and a ton of potential. And I think those are the good pickups. Even if Kamilu doesn't end up working out, even if he ends up sucking or whatever, or just not being ready or needing more time in the ERLs, I still think getting a guy with huge potential and giving an opportunity like this is really, really good. And if you maybe found a diamond in the rough in Kamilu, that could really change the future of your organization for years to come. So I'm excited about this. I actually like this Heretics offseason a lot. Obviously, they had to blow it up and rebuild, and that's never easy with that many moving parts. But I do think they did a pretty good job. I'm excited about this Heretics offseason. I would have them above 7. Next up, another one that I think is way, way, way too low. At number 6, we have Koi. Now, Koi did one of the biggest moves in the entire Western offseason, really. Whether you think Jojo Pune is great or bad or whatever, still, it's a huge deal having the first ever LCS player or NA player coming over to EU, and this is the only move they did, was replacing Frescowie with Jojo. Now, this is obviously a team that didn't have the best second half of the season or end of the season or whatever, but still they're a team that went to Worlds, they're a team that had high highs. They're also a team with a ton of talent. You have Elyoya and Supa already. Now you're adding Jojo Pune to the mix, and you have Merwin and Alvaro, who I think are very, very good kind of supporting cast type players as well. I think this team has a decent balance of like players with really high ceilings, players with carry pop-off potential, and players that are able to facilitate and work around them. I think this team looks really scary, and I think Jojo Pune is a huge pickup, and I think just adding Jojo Pune to your team, like unless you got way worse at all the other positions, something like that, to be ranked 6, that's pretty insane to me. I think this is maybe the worst ranking you guys have had so far, is Koi at number 6. I would definitely move them up a little bit. I'm excited about this Koi team. Obviously, Jojo needs to bounce back from 2024, but I still think he's a strong player. Koi's excited about him, and this Koi roster looks pretty good. Next up, at number 5, we have Team BDS. This is another team I think had a really strong offseason. A lot of LEC teams did some good things. They have replaced Adam with Irrelevant. They've replaced Shio with 113, and they've replaced Labrov with Parus. Now, two massive pickups here. Irrelevant is a great top laner, a guy who definitely had a lot of interest from other teams, and is a big pickup. Now, Adam, hey, he's a talented player in his own right, whatever, but I think Irrelevant is a guy who people are really high up and really excited about right now. I think it's an awesome pickup. And then Parus for Labrov. Yes, Labrov is a great player. He ends up going to G2. Like, Labrov is very, very good. But what's interesting to know here is that actually G2, from what we've heard, their first option was Parus. So literally BDS has picked up who G2 would have chosen to be their support over Mickey, and they got Irrelevant. That's an amazing offseason. Now, obviously, the huge question mark here is 113 coming in for Shio. That could be one of the biggest downgrades of the entire LEC offseason. So I get you guys knocking off some points for that a little bit, but I do think Team BDS had really two of the biggest moves in the entire LEC offseason. Keeping Parus, getting Parus into their lineup, and then also getting Irrelevant in the top lane. That's a great offseason for Team BDS. I think people are sleeping on that a little bit. Next up, we have GiantX. This team, again, changed a lot, switching a lot of things around. Obviously, they have Lot coming in for the Antonio. We have Closer coming in for Juhan. And then Noah and June coming into the bot lane for Patrick and Ignar. Now, obviously, I think Noah and June is a very, very strong bot lane. They're a big upgrade. I think that's awesome. They're keeping those guys together. They have that synergy. That will be great. The top side, Lot coming in. Obviously, some questions about him, how good he's going to be, whether he's going to be able to develop quickly or slowly or ever even end up being good enough, whatever. But it's still exciting. It's a nice pickup. And then you got Closer in the the jungle, who I think people are maybe not as excited about because Closer hasn't looked that strong in his career recently or as of late. But this guy's a winner. He's kind of been able to get it done everywhere. Maybe this new look, new team, new org will reignite a fire. He could come back. I don't know. Overall, I think this is probably a little too high in my opinion. I think Noah and June, that is a very, very big pickup. But Lot and Closer, I definitely have some question marks about. This team should be interesting. Yeah, I think they had a nice offseason. The Noah and June pickup's very, very good. But like I said, a lot of teams in the LEC had strong offseasons as well. At number 3, you guys have G2 Esports. Now, again, this might be a little too high in my opinion. Yes, it's G2, so people love them. They're very popular. Whatever they do is going to be cool. They got Skewmond in for Yike, and they got Lebrov in for Mickey. Now, hey, Skewmond and Lebrov, they were 2 players that are pretty good, that people are excited about, that people want. Let's see how good they end up being on G2. Are they going to be world class? Are they going to be, strong enough to keep winning LEC titles? Whatever. I could believe it. But at the same time, you also have to keep in mind that G2 lost Yike, and G2 lost Mickey. However good you think Skewmon and Lebrov are, or big pickups or whatever, they also lost 2 of the most talented and 2 of the best players in the LEC. It's not like they got massive upgrades in the jungle and massive upgraded support. They got some good players, but they also lost some very, very good players as well. I would probably bump G2 down a couple of spots in this, but maybe this will age poorly. Maybe Skewmon and Lebrov end up being the best players in the LEC next year. I don't know. We'll wait and see. But again, Mickey, best Western support of all time. Yike, probably the best jungler in the LEC last year. And you lost both of them, and you had the 3rd best offseason. I don't know. That's tough for me to swallow. I don't really know if I understand that too much. But at number 2, we got Fnatic. They have here Noah and June out, Upset and Mickey in. Now again, Fnatic, for me, is number 2 too high? It might be. Yes, Upset and Mickey are great players. Again, G2 loses Mickey. That's a big hit. Mickey, best Western support of all time, coming into Fnatic, that's a big pickup. Upset, very talented player, returning to Fnatic. That's awesome and great. But how big of an upgrade are Upset and Mickey over Noah and June? If you want to argue that they're an upgrade, hey, that's fine. I can get on board with that. Even if you say they're a pretty significant upgrade, whatever, I can get on board for that as well. I know some people are more excited about, their language barrier and stuff not being an issue. That's great. But is the upgrade from Noah and June, who are already a very strong bot lane for Fnatic last season, to Upset and Mickey, is that so big of an upgrade that Fnatic deserves to be number 2 on this list? That's a question that I'm asking. I don't know about that one, but I do think Fnatic had a good offseason. I do think it's exciting. I think they deserve to be high up on the list. I just don't know if they deserve number 2. Finally, at number 1, we have Karmine Corp, number 1 spot. I do think they had a good offseason. I do not know if they deserve the number 1 spot. I do have some questions about some things that are going on here. But obviously, K-Corp's a very, very popular team. Whenever you put out polls and stuff, those fans are going to take over. They're going to dominate. They're going to go crazy. And I love that about them. I love that they get involved. I love that they try to make their team the number 1 and everything. And this team did have a good offseason. Keeping Kana was big. Bringing in Yike is going to be a massive upgrade from Closer, I believe. Kalista is one of the most hyped prospects we've seen in the LEC in quite some time. Yes, Upset's a good player, so losing him is tough, but bringing in Kalista is very cool. My biggest question about this offseason is keeping Targamas, and I think that's a lot of other people's biggest questions as well. I think a lot of people expected that he would be replaced. I think a lot of other people think, especially if you're going to bring in Kalista, get him a stronger support or a support that's in better form than Targamas right now to actually let him pop off. So yes, K-Corp did some good things. Like I said, keeping Kana's great. Yike was a massive pickup. Having Kalista come in is awesome. But was this the best offseason in the entire LEC? I don't know. At least from what we know from the straw poll, that's what you guys think. But I'd also love to hear your thoughts and opinions about this list, and I'm happy we could get it out to you guys now. But I definitely want to continue to do more of this stuff where we get the community involved. I think these videos are really, really fun. And hopefully we catch you guys in the next one. Until then, peace.